to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Winnie Sun, your host, and happy Wednesday to you and welcome. Today actually feels like a Friday. It's been a very busy week and we know we're going into the holidays. Thank you so much for sending in your questions for the week, because today we'll be answering and asking and answering your questions today on our special Wednesday edition of AWA. Because as you remember, we usually do this on Fridays, but because Fridays is Christmas, I won't be coming live to you on that day. So if you're joining us on the replay, a quick hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's always great to see you. Definitely, if you don't mind, put in the comments replay. I just want to make sure that I see you. Definitely don't want to miss you, and appreciate you tuning in. And if you're joining us live, hello, welcome to the show. And let's start with the markets, let you know how it went. So the Dow closed down 113 points, NASDAQ down 36 points, S&P up 2. So, today was one of those really interesting days. Actually, I'm going to double check those numbers. So I just want to make sure I gave you those numbers correctly. Actually, the Dow was up 114 points, so closed up a little higher for sure. So my numbers are off, so it's actually positive. So NASDAQ was still down, but the Dow was closed up 113 points. Want to make sure I got you that information right. So today we learned that here in the United States, we have vaccinated over 1 million Americans so far, according to the CDC, which is certainly very good news. A lot of some of my clients actually, who are physicians and frontline workers, have been vaccinated. So that's good news, but it's still very far from what the federal government's goal was, to inoculate 20 million Americans by December 31st. And that's just next week. So certainly a lot of room to go, but hopefully we get that vaccine to many more Americans sooner rather than later. Also, last week, the U.S. jobless claims totaled 803,000 Americans that were unemployed, that filed for unemployment last week. The number is slightly better than what analysts were expecting, but certainly not a number that we like to see. Also, core durable goods and personal income both fell short of expectations last month in November. Also, not unexpected, but certainly very, very disappointing, as more Americans continue to suffer during this pandemic, and it just seems like it's getting worse as we're going into the holiday season. We see definitely lots of people continue to travel. In fact, a lot of airports, I've been seeing a lot of this all over social media, as well as friends on both coasts talking about how they're seeing a lot of traffic in the different airports and on the roads as well. And on Monday of this week, it looked like we were very close to getting much needed federal stimulus relief to so many Americans. But as of last night, it looked like everything was in limbo again. Now, that's not necessarily bad. It's just unfortunately, it seems like things are on pause, because in fact, there's one part of this that will very much be welcome news to many of you who are watching with us. This is news that I'm actually very excited about. I'm hoping it goes through. In fact, the President Trump is pushing, as of last night, for $2,000 in direct payments instead of a $600 in that stimulus check, a sum that Republicans and his Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin had advocated for. I'm all for this. I think the more we can get in terms of stimulus check, the better, and the sooner the better. That's really the part that I'm a little concerned about. Yes, I want $2,000. In fact, I would love to see Americans who are suffering get more than that. However, my concern is, it took them this long, this many months to get to this point where they finally agreed on $600. I would love for them to first pass that first bill, get that done, and then add more so that we can get money to Americans much sooner rather than later. It's important to know that President Trump, although he tweeted a lot about this, was not involved in the talks about the stimulus relief bill. You certainly saw in the news, and maybe even follow him on social media, that he was tweeting and talking about stimulus and the support and everything else. But several Democrats, as well as Republicans, had actually been pushing for a larger direct payment, which AKA stimulus check. Now, we do know that the stimulus check isn't going to be for everybody, just like when the CARES Act took place in the spring. that $1,200 stimulus check was for Americans that pretty much earn between under $75,000 a year through like about $95,000 a year. So anybody above that wouldn't receive a stimulus check, but those under that would receive some sort of stimulus check, which was welcome news. And in fact, I want to tell you, I'm actually hoping that that stimulus check is at $2,000 or ends up a little bit higher. And you might wonder why. Well, the thing is, at this point, so many of the release provisions actually expire the day after Christmas. And so many Americans are in dire need of support, financial support. Now, you might still have a job. I still have a job. You might still have your paycheck, but there's so many Americans right now that need help. And yes, we would like it to be very much concentrated on Americans who are most dire need, but time is not on our side, meaning that if we don't get financial support to so many Americans that need help right now, we don't have a lot of time to figure out exactly who needs it and how much they need. We just need to get money out there, because if we don't, then it just means that we're going to have to be spending in other types of federal relief support in the future. And that just takes more time. And Americans who are suffering right now just don't have the luxury of time. So we got to get that as soon as possible. Now, Democrats have welcomed an earlier push for $2,000 direct payments from Trump as Republicans try to limit the size of the spending package. But you may have seen House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer quickly jumped on social media last night and backed a $2,000 check yesterday night. They were saying, if you can get this done, we are definitely in support of that as well. They notably supported it as a measure separate from the $900 billion rescue package, as we're hoping to get American support sooner rather than later. That's what they're saying. However, I don't know. So here's the problem. And I actually thought the market would close lower than it did today. I'm really happy to see that the Dow did well today. I actually was talking to our director of investments last night too. I was very concerned because President Trump's opposition to the $2 trillion plus coronavirus relief package, which includes government funding, really creates uncertainty for the multi-millions of Americans who could lose their unemployment aid and a potential shutdown of the government actually really as soon as, the end of the month, December 26th. There's so many things that are in limbo right now. So, what do we know? What do we do? Unfortunately, you and I are not part of this deciding factor here. We did not vote for this. We did not. Well, I guess we did because we voted for our politicians, but our politicians are the ones who continue to stall. And what I think is most disappointing about this process is if you look at, and this was shared on social media, so you can look for it yourself on social media, but there's a lot of graphics going out showing what other countries are doing for their citizens. Many that are much smaller and less wealthy than the United States, and they're giving so much more support. A lot of countries are giving a monthly support to their Americans during the pandemic, and yet here we continue to wait. So that's what I think is really, really disappointing. So now what? So President Trump has not yet said whether he would veto the bill. The news has noted that Congress probably has enough support on this bill to override his potential veto. This is why I'm thinking that the Dow still did well and performed well today. So where do we stand? Now we wait. It takes days for it's almost 5,600 pages of this bill to formally reach President Trump's desk. And if he doesn't pocket veto it, he still has a full 10-day window to decide to sign the bill, which excludes Sundays, before the new session of Congress starts on January 3rd. So I don't know. I don't even know. Carlos says this is good news indeed. I'm actually thinking it's good news indeed. I'm hoping this is the news that will be necessary to get the stimulus check to 2,000 or beyond. I don't think it's going to get beyond at this point. I think if we can get to 2,000, that will be wonderful. And today's our special holiday edition of ADIBI. But before I jump in there, thank you so much, Robin Stevens, for reminding me. I want to talk to you about Clubhouse. All right. Those of you who have seen me tweet about this today, I shared it on LinkedIn as well. today was the first day I tried out Clubhouse. And I got to say a quick thank you to my creative director, Curtis, who got me into Clubhouse. And actually, he made a really good note. Cloris and I have been working together for years now. Certainly one of my most favorite people on the planet. It's helped me so much in terms of what we do in terms of video and content and television shows, all that stuff. And he said, I think you're really going to like this. I think you're going to really like this platform because you can have verbal conversations and whatnot. And another good friend of mine, Stacey Kelly, who jumped on with me, and she said, Winnie, you're going to love this because it's like podcasting / Twitter. Now, if you don't know about Clubhouse, don't worry, you're not alone. So this is a sort of a new social discussion platform that was started just like weeks ago, in fact. And it's very, very much exclusive. They offered it out to a select group of social media influencers, and it's been organically growing, meaning that those influencers are given invitations. Those invitations are given out to their friends and their community. And so, you go on and you create these rooms, if you will. And I joined one today. Stacey Kelly, my dear friend, you may have seen her. She's created content for BuzzFeed and Tasty. She's big on LinkedIn. She's created content for VidCon. She's worked with MTV. She's worked for a lot of major productions. She actually hosted a room. She brought me into co-host talking about how to build a profitable brand, on social media. And we had a discussion. We had a lot of people join in. It was really, really, really awesome. So if you are hearing more about Clubhouse, I just want to make sure to get that on your radar. If you are on Clubhouse, definitely follow me and connect with me there. Join in conversation. I would love to get you, get a chance to speak with you there. It's really cool. It's actually, I join in live through my iPhone. And if you join in the room that I'm in at the time, we're literally having a conversation. It's like a group Zoom call, except number one, doesn't matter what you're wearing or where you're joining us from. And number two, nobody can see you. So it's literally like podcasting, but we're having an ongoing conversation like you would on Twitter. It's really cool. And in fact, those of you who are interested in learning more about that, definitely, definitely follow. I'll continue to have more conversations about that. And those of you who are jumping on Clubhouse, definitely follow me there and let's have conversations. I think it sort of bridges what we're doing here, but includes you in conversation without having to worry about hair and makeup and all that crazy stuff. So I think I'm gonna do that. So Get Hair is saying, will you consider doing a show there? I don't know. Today was my first day on Clubhouse. And I'm not opposed to it. I think if those of you are watching me here, who would want to actually participate in that, I think I'd be really open to that, and I would be welcome. I would love to have conversations because one of the things that I wish I could have talks with CrossX Fighter Joshua. I wish I could talk to Get It Hair. I definitely wish I could actually hear your voice, Carlos, for sure, and just have that conversation. I think it'd be really fun. And I think it's a lot less stressful than Zoom for a lot of people. Because a lot of people, I know Robin, I'm going to call you out on this too. I know Robin doesn't want to really have to do the whole setup for Zoom and live streaming. This could be it. So I don't know how much it can be, because I also have other friends who are on it who are very big social media influencers and smart people in their industries. And they're saying, I don't know, I'm not totally feeling it. So I don't know. It's one of those things, but I wanted to bring it onto your radar because I know a lot of people I've been talking to don't even know that it exists. And to be honest with you, I really wouldn't probably know either if a lot of my friends didn't start getting on it and then my team is on it. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool, guys. All right, let's see. So today is AWA, our special holiday edition. I need to get some water because you've been talking all day today. Where, I ask your questions and I answer your questions on the show. So don't be shy. If you have questions, definitely stick them on the side here. I'm going to try and answer your questions as well. But here's some of the questions that we came in on this very short week here, all right? So this is, assuming you're caught up on bills, what do you recommend doing with the stimulus check you received? And we got to definitely give a shout out to our friend Mike Alton, who was on our show yesterday, and he submitted this question. I think he shared it on Periscope. So let's talk about that. So let's assume that you're caught up on your bills, right? And you still have a paycheck coming in. Now I recognize a lot of people, millions of Americans right now are without a paycheck. And so they are struggling. So I'm not saying that this is a recommendation for everyone. And it certainly isn't a recommendation like a broad scope recommendation. But for those of you who are caught up in your bills, like Mike said, what would you do? Now, fortunately, I know a little bit about Mike. Mike is someone that I've known for quite a long time on social media, and he actually is a very big blogger. Let's talk about that. Thank you so much for your question, Mike. First thing I would say is if you're done with you have no debt, no bills, then look at funding your emergency fund. I know many of us came into this pandemic nowhere close to having our emergency fund padded. I would say pad your savings right now. For each adult, I recommend 6 months of living expenses into that emergency fund. For each child, at least 3 months of living expenses. And if you have a man boy, like my son is at 11 years old, he's almost as tall as me. And I'm 5'6", so I'm not that short, but my 11-year-old is almost my height. And so for him, he can definitely eat more than I would actually increase his living expenses savings to at least 4 to 5 months, just to make sure for an emergency purposes that, we can make sure that he's taken care of as well. The other thing I would say is if you're done with your emergency savings, you have definitely some pad in your checking account or savings account that you're going to be okay. And especially like Mike, that I know you have little ones at home. I might even recommend that you do some year-end gifting to your children's college savings account for their education account. It does provide less liquidity than an emergency savings account. However, if you are like myself, I have 3 little ones. At some point, they're probably going to want higher education, and I just don't want to lose time. So it makes a lot of sense to start saving sooner rather than later. And certainly right now would be a good time to do that, to make sure you can do some gifting for 2020 as we're approaching 2021. The other thing is for those of you who are looking at your 401k and it might be looking better than you expected. And you're thinking, wow, maybe I should save a little bit more. Number one, if you have no debt, if you still have that paycheck coming in, if you've got your emergency funds saved up, all those things need to be checked first. Then you could actually consider also pairing that up with an IRA, either Roth IRA or traditional IRA. The other thing I would say is for those of you who are invested in a 401k, you owe it to yourself to look at the Roth 401k, okay? You'll have to pay taxes on your contributions, but it'll grow future tax-free, which in my book is a big win. So definitely put that on your radar if you don't already. All right, let's go to question number 2. Let's see what we got. Ooh, that's a good question. Do you think my 401k will be okay this month? All right. I love this question because I get to bring in some financial history to you. And this is always a fun thing. So, December is widely known as one of the best months of the year for stocks. Did you know that? But many don't realize that the majority of the gains happen in the second half of the month, which is squarely where we are currently at. Some financial pros call this the Santa Claus rally time. In 1972, in fact, Yale Hirsch, the creator of the Stock Traders Almanac, is something that so many of us read in the financial industry, especially when we're first starting off. He first discovered and coined the real Santa Claus rally as the final 5 trading days of the year and the first 2 trading days of the following year. So both December and January. So both December and January is what he's calling the Santa Claus rally. So the official Santa Claus rally is set to begin tomorrow, Thursday, December 24th. So for those of you who are wondering if your 401k is going to continue to do well, we can only look back at history. Based on history, typically this is a good time for the stock market if you're investing and you're in your 401k. And let's hope. We don't know, but let's hope. Let's hope that the Santa Claus rally tradition continues and we have a good next couple of weeks in the financial markets. But of course, remember, and this is a big remember, when you invest in things like the 401k, you're invested for long term, right? Until at least age 59 and a half and beyond. So it doesn't really matter so much of what happens on a day-to-day basis, although we talk about it in the financial news, just to give you an idea of how it closed. The only two most important days for you as an investor are the day that you start investing, when you first make your investment with those monies, and the second day being the day that you actually sell and you take that money out to use. So those are the two most important days. The days in between could actually impact how you feel about investing, but truly it doesn't impact you specifically on how the market does. Can we agree on that? It's actually true, just so you know. All right, next question. Let's see what we've got. I want to give and pass some money over to my grandkids. What are the best ways to do this? Okay, great question. And what a great grandparent you are for asking the question and thinking this. You know, you can pay for. Here's some interesting ways, and maybe some ways that you didn't think about to how you can give to your grandchildren. First off, I want to talk about ways that you can do so that don't sort of fall on the IRS's radar, right? So, you can pay for educational and medical costs for your grandchildren. And the nice thing about doing that is there's no limit on these gifts, meaning you can pay these expenses in addition to making your annual $15,000 2020 gift. So if you have a child that is currently, in school, or a grandchild that's in school, or, it could be any sort of education program. It could be a tech program. It could be junior college. It could be college. It could even be elementary school. But if you're paying directly, that doesn't impact the gifting. Also, that happens to do with healthcare, because we know a lot of people right now, unfortunately, are getting ill. So if you make those payments directly to the medical provider, the doctor, the hospital, and whatnot, that also doesn't count towards your 2020 gift as well. So keep those two in mind, okay? And yes, so for 2020, your gift allotment is $15,000. Now, I recognize for most parents and grandparents, you're not going to meet that amount. Like, I don't even think I met that amount for my kids, but certainly do know that that's the provision this year, okay? You can make gifts to a custodial account that parents can also establish for a minor child. So for those of you who have younger kids like I do, you can actually set up a custodial account and grandparents could make a gift to that. That's one option. You can also transfer money into a trust established to benefit a grandchild. Now, actually, I just talked to a client about this that's doing that right now. Here in California with Proposition 19, there are a lot of wealthier grandparents are looking at ways to move property, not only to your grandchildren, but their children as well. So if you go through that process with an attorney and you set up a trust specifically for your grandchild, that's also another way to transfer money as well, okay? I recognize it's not for everybody, but if you're in that category, I guess you're fortunate enough to do that. That's definitely some provisions. If you're in California, those are provisions that you want to make sure that you plan for before the end of the year. Now, you can also reduce your taxable estate while earmarking funds for the higher education of a grandchild through the use of a 529 account, 529 college savings account. Now, you've heard me talk about the 529 account a lot through the years for college savings, but a lot of people don't realize that this is a way to reduce your taxable estate. So you're actually gifting away money into college savings. So if you're in a position to do that, definitely make sure that that's on your radar. And in fact, if you're looking to do that, definitely reach out. That's something that we're helping a lot of parents and grandparents with currently, and we would be happy to give you some consultation on that as well, okay? Now, you can also use other gift vehicles like IRAs and savings bonds. So definitely things that you'll want to talk to your accountant about, but more importantly, talk to a financial advisor who really knows how to handle this, all right? So here is, I think, if you have any other questions, feel free to enter them in comments on whatever platform you're joining us from, because we can actually monitor most of them here live on the stream. Now, let's go to I think the last submitted question that we had. We had more questions, but we always try to do what we can to make sure we keep within the timelines of the show. The last question that we're going to talk about today is, our restaurant is struggling so much this holiday, and we are doing special takeout deals for the holidays. Do you have any tips on how I should market and get the word out this holiday? Okay, so great question. And in fact, those of you who are watching, if you have a restaurant or you have a business that is struggling right now and you're doing some special promotion, trying to get the word out, definitely promote it on social, tag me on it, and I'll be happy to get the word out for you as well. So here's what I would recommend. If you have, in this case, thank you so much for reaching out. For your restaurant, definitely utilize social media. This is a fast way to do it, also very cost effective, right? So if you have a smartphone, if your employees have smartphones, if people that love you have smartphones, use this tool that you have. Take pictures of your food. Definitely tag as many publications, centers of influences in your area. It's free, and I would actually spew this content on all the different social media platforms. I know a lot of restaurants actually like to use Facebook, they like to use Instagram, but I would actually encourage you to use all platforms. It doesn't cost you anything more. You're already taking the picture, you're already putting together the post or tweet or whatnot. Copy, paste, change the wording ever so differently, and continue to flood the social media channels with this information. The other thing I would recommend too is don't think that if you post it once that is enough. In fact, we know that on platforms such as Twitter, people are only on for 15, 20 minutes at a time. So if you share that out and they don't see it, then they miss it. So nowadays, a lot of platforms allow you to schedule your posts. So I'd actually recommend you be like really aggressive right now and just literally flood this on your pages. People understand you are struggling. You're a restaurant. People know that you are trying your darnest to create sales to be able to continue to retain your beloved employees. So people are a lot more considerate in this area for sure. So I would actually recommend that. The other thing I would recommend is learning how to tag. Now, when you post a photo on a lot of platforms, you can actually tag certain people. Now, be really smart about how you tag. I always say it's important to know who your community are, who the people that love you are. Include some of those people in that post. Make sure you tag those people. For example, Curtis on my team, I would definitely tag him. I would definitely tag Robin Stevens because I do know that they love me and they would make sure to share a message or say something and make sure to help spread that word as well. And then tag some aspirational people maybe that you're not on their radar for. So if your restaurant, let's say, is here in the Los Angeles area, right? Tag if you can an influencer or a publication that talks a lot about restaurants in your area. Maybe a journalist that talks about the top restaurants in the community. Maybe another publication like Greer's OC. She does an awesome job. She'll talk about restaurants and talk about new trends in dining. I would tag someone like her, right? Get on their radar, have them tag them so they see your post. They might not actually share your post, but they actually might consider you the next time they're coming up with another publication or another article about things that are happening during the holidays, curbside pickup, different unique things, and try to become press worthy. Try to feature a dish or a style or a recipe that maybe people would be interested in learning more about. Don't go completely mainstream because it's not very social media and news friendly, right? And then this is what I would say. Try to see about ways that you can give. Giving is so important this time. I recognize that you are having a very difficult time. The restaurant industry is having a tough time, I know. But think about ways that you can give. It can be as easy as sharing out a recipe, right? It could be giving thanks to your employees. It could be thankful for those people who continue to come and buy food from you. Give thanks to them. Put the emphasis on how much you appreciate them, because the more you give, the more you get. I'm a really big believer in that. And then I would also recommend asking for help. I think right now people are totally okay with it. Ask for help. Just say, come eat here. Come and help us. Come and support us. In fact, my dear friend who just had a friend, my dear friend who just had a birthday, who is a top chef from Bravo's Top Chef, Shirley Chung, amazing chef. She's been sharing on social media, on Facebook, that they're creating this new meal for the holidays, and she's doing everything that she can to help retain her employees, and she's asking online for help. And I think that's totally okay, because sometimes we just forget, out of sight, out of mind. So I hope this is helpful. And then the last thing I would say is make it easy. Make it really easy for people to do business with you. And this goes beyond restaurants, any sort of business. Think about ways that people can do business with you as seamlessly as possible. For example, on our financial business, we quickly went to conference calls and Zoom calls and really flexible hours of doing calls really early in the morning, really late in the evening, sometimes even on weekends, just so that we were able to help you. And certainly that was one of the motivations of having an online show each and every day, so we could reach more people and help more people. But for your restaurant, think about curbside pickup. Make curbside pickup, I think, should be a complete no-brainer, right? You're already in there cooking. Have a phone number posted outside. When you get here, call this number, pick up the phone, bring the dish out. People love curbside pickup right now. And if you have an extra employee or whatnot that you love, that you want to retain, considering having them do delivery, maybe only in 5 miles from your restaurant, but do delivery and just find other creative ways to get more business out of your business. So, I'm hoping this is helpful. I'm sure there's a lot more tips. And actually, Get It Hair has amazing tips. Joshua, CrossX Fire, Robin, and any of you have any other tips, please do me a favor and just add them. Just add them to the show. And that way people who are watching, they can learn from you as well. This is a time where it's not just about your expertise. If you can help another person out, just do it. Right? And more importantly, let's continue to do this. And this is something I know each and every one of you can do. Let's make a pact, right? Get It Hair had this idea, and I love this idea. I'm gonna take it to another part. She says we should come up with a savings strategy or savings goal. And actually, I'm gonna work on that a little bit. I'm gonna think about that a little more. I'm gonna share that next week about putting together a savings goal that we can do. But also, I want to also include this. I want to challenge all of you to spread kindness and thoughtfulness and positive vibes all over social media. So I'm going to challenge you this. Starting today, all the way to the end of the year, I want to challenge you to share 3 positive posts. And tag me on it if you don't mind. So that way I can reshare it for you as well. Share 3 things. It could be something like this morning, I showed a picture of a dish that I made for my kids. Share something positive. Tag me in it. Let's do that. Everybody share 3 times during the day something positive. It could be a positive quote. It could be someone that you appreciate and that really made a difference in your life. I'm definitely going to start with this. I'm going to start with number 1. I want to say a huge thank you to my incredible team that has been working tirelessly during this process. A special thank you to Robin Stevens, one of my best friends on the planet. She's done so much for me. I want to say second thank you to the one and only Roger Wakefield. You heard me talk about him this week, but he has literally made my week this week. So I definitely want to continue to say thank you to him. And then most importantly, I want to say a huge thank you to Get It Hair. I want to say thank you to CrossX Fighter. I want to say thank you to Lena, who's Jim from Chicago. All of you who are watching. And then I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's been on my tweet chat that we're dark today, but there's Beth, there's Suzanne, there's Chevelle. I'm going to miss somebody because we have our community so large, but I'm trying to figure out with my team how we can give more thanks during this holiday. So if you have any ideas for me, definitely send them to me or put them on social, tag me on it. I would love to hear from you, but I will tell you, we've got enough negativity for 2020. Let's make a pact that as we go into 2021 and beyond, that we continue to share positivity, make someone else's day a little bit better, all right, a little bit brighter, because that's what we're going to do. So thank you so much for tuning in as we meet people who are in the trenches, moving mountains, getting stuff done, because we're talking trending and sharing real stories that you can use. This week is going to be shorter. As we know, Friday, the market is closed, but I'm actually going to still come to you tomorrow. I'm going to make the effort because, this is caring, sharing, it all comes together. Thank you so much for watching, supporting our program, and sharing the show with those that you love and those that you care about. Be well. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Time to go spend some time with my kids. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.